I'm a grown-ass adult and I need a glass. Here to tell you about my May reading and then talk about what I'm going to be reading in June. Now, if you've been keeping up with my other vlogs, I'm going to link them below for the books I did already. But you know that I was reading dark, delicious fairy tale series starting with Queen of Ruin, and oh my gosh, I was engrossed. Definitely check those videos out. The last book comes out May 30th, so I'm going to be on that soon as it comes out, so you'll be seeing that vlog pretty soon. I also read My Evil Mother and There's a Bear in the House. Did a vlog on that one. Really good, heartwarming books about parents and their relationships with their children. I also read Watersmeet. This is a first book in a 3-book series. The other one is The Centaur's Daughter and the other is The Keeper. I won't be continuing this series on. I did give this a 4-star. It was really good, but just, you know, it didn't hold my attention enough for me to continue the series. But it's basically about a young girl who lives in this outcast society where blonde hair, blue eyes is, you know, favored. And of course she's an outcast because she has black hair, a bit dark skin, and she has green eyes. So you have this charismatic leader that comes into the village and incites everyone to rise up and attack and kill the outcasts. So she runs away and she encounters this dwarf, and with him she embarks on this journey to find the father that, you know, she never even met and doesn't even know that she exists. And then of course when she finds him, she realizes that his enemy is now her enemy, and they embark on this, you know, grand journey of war to, you know, fight off this evil person. I thought that this was a very fast-paced book, and it was exciting and very suspenseful. It kind of gave me the Lord of the Ring vibes with the ooh me precious ring type vibes with the necklace. This book dealt with a lot about prejudices and judgments and about manipulative leaders, and it shows how cult leaders can prey on the fears and weaknesses of other people. I thought that the characters were very creative and fun and how the author told them. Like, you had the dirty dwarfs, you had centaurs and minotaurs, and you know, they described Watersmeet was a very beautiful world, very ideal. So, you know, it made me think it'd be pretty to go and see that, since I like a lot of things about nature. Overall, I thought that this book was well written, but like I said, I won't be continuing this series. There's some other things out there I want to, you know, put my efforts towards, but good book. Salvage Indulgence is about an older lady named Joyce who enjoys all the finer things in life. Fine food, fine wine, fine furniture, just everything's awesome. And she invites 4 dinner guests over, drugs them, and attempts to cut them up and eat them. So good. She has all these follies that happens in the process of just trying to get a good meal for herself, of course. So just a really good book. It goes to show you that no matter how much you plan, things don't always work out the way that you want them to. But this was a really quick read, and it was really funny and really introspective. A bit sad at points though, but I thought it was suspenseful and a bit predictable, but still really, really good. I enjoyed it. I gave this book 5 stars. Scheme is a psychological suspense thriller. It starts with a bomb being found outside of a hospital, and then you have a detective. His name is Sloan. He's assigned to the case. Now, he's an older veteran detective. He's pretty much kind of seen everything, but he gets wind of this poem that I guess tells the location of this bomb, and then of course they get other bombs and other poems. So he and his cop companions enlist the aid of this English professor at a local college, and together him and the rest of the crew try to figure out what the connection this poem is to the bombs and realize that, you know, things aren't always what they seem. This book, I didn't expect to end. I thought it was twisting, I thought it was suspenseful, and I thought it was very, very unique. I did think it was funny as well. Like, he talked about when it comes to the bomb squad, how their disability checks are direct deposited, and so they don't have to worry about being able to get to it if their hands are blown up, because the body armor protects everything but their hands. So definitely think twice before getting into that career field for sure. I think that the book was written very uniquely, almost like a detective slash journalist perspective, with all the details that the author put throughout. Just kind of a casual observance of any and everything about the characters. So you kind of feel that detective aspect while you're actually seeing the detective work. And the reason you see that is because the author is a former detective. So good job, author. And with the poems in this book, I felt like it took me back to English class when they were describing and doing the whole breaking down with the iambic pentameter and all. Whew, almost gave me whiplash. Poetry is not my strong suit, I will tell you that. Overall, this was a good book. It was quick and it got right to the plot with all that other fluff, and I appreciate that. Now, you also have the book, The Community. The Community is a very good book. It has a lot of historical receipts about race relations in America, of the suppression of people of color and the violence and manipulation that was used to control them by the government and also by other groups. You get a lot of insight into the civil rights movements and the philosophies of different Black leaders in the United States. This book is a very simplistic overall representation of that. Just very good and very comprehensive. You know that the author definitely did her research. I felt like it was a history lesson, but it kind of jumped all over. And I will say that at sometimes I did have a hard time keeping track of what we were talking about. Now, this is actually a memoir, so the author actually did experience this, even though some names may have been changed. So you have Jamiyla, who's this hip-hop journalist, and when she was 2, her parents joined this Muslim commune in New York, and now this leader has been sent to jail for child molestation. And so she interviews her mom to understand what the motivations were behind her mom and her dad joining this religious cult back in the day. And you start to understand their motivations so they can have some sort of power over their lives and some sort of control and be around people that looked like them, where they didn't have to second guess themselves or feel like they were outcast in their own country and society of where they lived. I think that it's interesting that you still have, according to her, a lot of rappers and other people that still follow the teachings of Imam Isa, because ultimately, yes, he is in jail for molestation of children, but still taught these individuals that they have a power over their own destiny and they will one day govern themselves and get back to their homeland where they won't feel like outcasts. And I think that anyone can agree that when you feel like you're being beat down where you currently live, that having something to look forward to definitely can uplift your spirits. And I think that is why you may have a leader that can manipulate that. Overall, I think that this was a very good book about how when parents make mistakes and then they own up to it. My choice is a collection of stories by one author. Now, this book I gave 3 stars. I was originally going to DNF this, but I persevered. I skipped around a little, but I persevered and I did finish this book. I felt that it was just a random collection of stories, some short, some small, some are very abstract. I just felt that it just did not hold my attention. I mean, you have these angels that love and despise each other, and they're assigned to the same individual, and they're tempted by the same deadly sins that they're trying to manipulate with her. And then you have this dentist that likes to kill pretty beautiful women. And I guess the most interesting story was talking about Ivan the Terrible and his crazy tale. Apparently he just seemed like he was just off the rockers and was very lustful and was manipulative with religious teachings to basically do whatever he wanted. But I don't know, for some reason this book just did not hold my attention. I have no idea why. I just wanted it to be done, and I was just happy that it was done when I got finished. And in honor of Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, I read Shades of AMBW. That's Asian Men, Black Women. Now this was pretty spicy. I will say I gave this book 5 stars. It is a collection of, I think, what, 24 stories by 14 different authors, all in one book collection. And it was pretty spicy. Like, you had a chance meeting of some people inside of a movie theater, you know, and it was very heartfelt. And then you have like some doctors that just want to get it on. So it wasn't, you know, a love story. It was just a shagga, you know, just very wide range. And I thought that it was broken down very good. It was broken down in from romance in part 1 to erotica in part 2, and part 3 was like paranormal, fantasy, and sci-fi. Now it did tackle racism and bigotry in some of the stories. Nothing out of control though. It was very, very tame, but I recommended this book. I think in the end it showed that we are all the same and love is love, and we should not let that bug us, especially when you have a nice little Asian cutie patootie with, you know, a man bun and a goatee right there in front of you. Go at it, girl. Don't let it stop you. Overall, I thought that reading this month was pretty diverse and really, really good. I learned that I really enjoy fantasy more than I thought about in the past. And I am definitely going to read more of it. So this upcoming month is going to be great. So on to the books that I plan to read for May. Of course, I am going to finish the last book in the Deliciously Dark Fairy Tale series, and that is Queen of Ruin. Bow down to the Queen. Now that comes out at the end of May, so that's going to be right there on the top of my reading list. After that, I have Stolen Tongues. Apparently, let's see, it talks about a romantic cabin getaway with some sort of creature, terrified fiance that isn't just mumbling in her sleep. So we'll see. I think this book has been around for quite a bit of time and has gotten a lot of widespread acclaim. So we'll see what happens and see what Tangible Reads thinks about it. Another book that I plan to read is called Jimmy. I actually was going to read this a few months back, but this is about a high schooler named Jimmy that decides he wants to go on a little killing spree in his small town. So we'll see what happens with that. Okay, another book I plan to read is called Layla. I keep hearing about Colleen Hoover all over the place, and I have never checked out her book. So I'm gonna get on the bandwagon and let's see what's happening with Colleen Hoover. Okay, so we have Layla. Layla is about life after tragedy and enduring spirit of love. So you have Leeds who meets Layla, and then she gets into some sort of accident. So they go to a bed and breakfast to rekindle the spark. And he finds solace. Okay, and then he starts finding solace in Willow, who's another guest at this bed and breakfast. And they get some sort of connection. So he soon realizes he has to make a choice because he can't help them both. Okay, okay. So you got a man that's torn between 2 women. So I'm here for it. Let's see what happens. So another book I'm going to read, actually it's a 3-book series called The Demon Queen Trials. So City of Thorns, Lord of Embers, and Garden of Serpents, which comes out towards the end of next month. And it is, let's see, some more supernatural stuff. Fantasy, I like it. A sinfully sexy demon mistaken me for somebody else. He's the Lord of Chaos and he thinks I'm a succubus. He tastes my blood. He understands I'm mortal and realize we have something in common. We both crave revenge. So we make a deal. I promise he's my #1 suspect, and that's increasingly hard to remember as he teaches me my role, seduction. Okay, so that's another sexy one. Okay, I'm okay with that as long as there's a good plot. I like sexy books as long as there's a good plot that still holds my attention. So I should get through this whole series this month. Another book that I found is called Melanin Madness. I like anything with melanin in the title. Okay, it goes, in a dystopian world, it's every man or woman for themselves. Climate change continues to wreak havoc on the world. When faced with extinction, people stoop to extreme measure to survive. Well, that is very not abstract, but doesn't really tell me too much. So I'm here for it. And it doesn't look like there's any reviews. I'm looking at this on Amazon. I'm going to try to get through this sooner than later. I've never been the first to review something before, so I'm going to be excited for that. And if you look at my channel, you know I love me some short story collections. So one that I'm going to read is called The Far Away collection. It's an Amazon original series. It's 5 stories, and they're just different retellings of some fairy tales. This was 5 best-selling authors serve a deliciously modern twist on fairy tales. You got evil queens, charmless princes, star-crossed lovers, provocative, enchanting directions. So, okay, so there's 5 books. This one's called Prince and the Troll, Hazel and Gray, The Princess Game, The Cleaners, and The Wicked. So that should be pretty interesting. And the last books on my TBR is another short story collection called The Cannonball Express. Now this is like a supernatural sci-fi type series. It's 4 books. It's interplanetary adventure at full throttle. Each book is a standalone sci-fi western with action, monsters, comedy, and thrills. So that should be pretty fun. So that is my list for the month of June. I am excited to get started and see where this leads me. So I hope that you stay tuned for the adventure. Please like, subscribe, and leave me some comments. I'm gonna go drink my iced coffee. Bye y'all.